Hey everybody. So, it's been over a month. Um, yeah, it has definitely been well over a month. I don't know how long since it was since the last update. Um, where I was waiting for, I was actually waiting for the back surgery to come in, but apparently we were completely wrong on that. And it wasn't just my scoliosis acting up. So, TLDR for people who don't want to listen to the entire story, or don't want to listen to the medical things that have happened. Um, as it stands, I'm paralyzed from the waist down due to a stroke in my spine. Um, yeah, I know, a stroke in my spine. Not in my brain, not anywhere else, in my spine. Doctor said that's one of those really fucking rare things that usually only happen to people who have been in severe car accidents. No, it happened to me when I was lying in fucking bed. But anyway, so yeah, I have feeling, I have like a muted feeling in my legs, but as far as moving anything down there, I'm paralyzed from the waist down. I'm presently in because the first hospital I was in didn't really take good care of rotating me to keep me from getting bed sores. I'm presently in an advanced nursing facility, um, basically just laying around waiting for the stage 3 and stage 2 wounds uh, on my ass to heal because I got a fucking hole in my tailbone that went down to the muscle. Yeah. So yeah, I'm in an advanced nursing facility waiting for that to heal. When I get healed up, hopefully with whatever minor rehab thing they give me, I can get back to the rehab facility I was at before I got here. Anyway, yeah. So I'm fucked. I probably won't be producing any content for who knows how long. Probably at least a year, maybe more. I don't know. So if anybody wants to stick around, like there's over 10,000 videos. There's content for fucking days. If you want to stick around and drudge through the library, but other than that, I'm probably not going to be in any kind of facility with a proper upload speed. So I'm just fucked. Anyway, that's the TLDR, which I still probably made too long. But alright, so this is where our story begins. We thought, like with the last update, we thought it was my scoliosis. It was, just not in the way we were thinking. So, eventually, um, I just kind of started losing mobility and feeling and everything. So, people with scoliosis, it's not uncommon for them to get epidural pockets, basically pockets of pus, fluid, where you know their spine's crooked around and like maybe pinches shit off. So I had a couple well, okay, I had a big fucking epidural pocket, and then I had a smaller one. So what happened is one of the crooks in my because from last year my scoliosis, my back did look like an S with a kyphosis hump. This year it kind of turned into a digital 5. Yeah. Well, one of the little crooks in my spine pinched off my bladder a little bit. So while I was still pissing like a racehorse into the little plastic urinal, medical urinal jug that the old man bought for me, so I didn't have to, stagger and scream my way to the bathroom. Um, while I was still pissing like a racehorse, it was causing a backflow of urine into my bloodstream. So I got a blood infection, which got into the epidural pockets, which caused a strep infection. And then at some point, a blood clot got into my spine, and I had the stroke at some point. So after a few days, after a couple days, it's like I couldn't feel anything below my waist. They called the ambulance. They got in there. Had to wait for 6 dudes to show up just because of the layout of the house, is a ranch style house. Had to wait for 6 dudes to show up. They got the IV in my arm, and it's like, okay, time to go. They hit me with, I think it was Dilaudid or something. They shot me up with something because it's just like, time to go, and everything became a blur of colors, and then I was in Sturgis. And it's like, I had a catheter in me, and I pissed like 2 liters in a few minutes. And it's like, yeah, something's wrong. And it's like, well, you seen this Elwitz guy up at the spine specialist. This seems like a spinal problem, and the trailer with the CT machine isn't here. So next thing I know, I'm stoned again, and I'm on my way up to uh, to Bronson. And they kept me stoned the entire time. I was completely fucking whacked out of my gourd on some good shit. Because they got there, they put me in a bed. And it was this, I guess it was supposed to be this bed where, like, it had sections that, like, oscillated, kinda. So it was almost like a wave thing. Every few seconds it would move. Felt like I could feel the squares of each thing. Like, I didn't feel the oscillation. I felt the squares in, like, that I was laying on. It felt like I was in a toy box. And then they went and they put a neckline in. And as it was described to me with the neckline's basically like it's like an IV line, except they stick it near your neck. And as the nurse put it, we stick it in there, we go down, we get it close to your heart until it pisses your heart off, and then we pull back a little bit. That was the description I was given. So I had like I had 2 IVs in my right arm, so I had 6 little, IV ports in my right arm. I had one in the back of my left hand. I had one in my neck by the time this was all done. I'm still stoned, and when they were like putting the neckline in, it felt like they were stretching my skin out into like a space station. It was fucked up. I was just gone. And then when they finally took me to the operation room, I thought they were like, I had this fucked up dream after they knocked me out. I just had this fucked up dream that I was in an alien fucking hive, and there were people trapped in the walls, like in cysts and shit. And then I finally wake up, and I see my dad, and he's like, "I'll see you tomorrow, bud." And then this dude sits on the end of the bed, because the beds were motorized. And he's just like, "Alright, I'm taking you back to your room." And he just sits on the end corner of the bed and just drives the fucking bed through the hospital. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I was gone for a while. So yeah, I had this like major strep infection, blood in my blood and whatnot, and these epidural pockets, they drained out. So I had staples along my back, keeping that shut. And then they had to take me to, for the smaller one, they had to strap me, belly first down onto a CT chair, a CAT scan chair, and run me through the machine to find it, and then do things manually while I was fucking awake. And they're like, "Yo, no, we're gonna give you some stuff to dull the pain." Bull fucking shit, that didn't dull the pain worth a motherfuck. That was bullshit. But no, so they got this accordion drain put in that one, and I had 2 other drains for the big one. And I was sitting in CT. Well, the problem was I didn't have a bowel movement for a few days, and they were getting worried. Well, come to find out, the only way I could have a bowel movement was to roll me on my side, and then the gas and since I had been on I had been on very strong antibiotics for days. It completely wiped out all the bacteria, all the good bacteria in my intestines, so I had nothing but diarrhea. Well, they cleaned me up every time I had to go, but they weren't very diligent about moving me to keep me from getting bed sores, which is why I'm in the advanced nursing facility with a stage 3 wound on my tailbone, which basically stage 3 means it goes down into the muscle. Stage 4 is when it goes directly to the bone. It wasn't bad enough they didn't have to give me a skin graft, but it's probably going to take about 2 months to heal. Yippee-ki-yay. Anyway, I was at Bronson for a little over 2 weeks, CC unit, and then they moved me out of there. And the fun part was it's like he isn't really getting any better. And you know how I've said a couple of years ago, I had that double break in my right ankle, and I had all the plates and screws put in it. Well, the infection decided I like metal. Because if it clung to the metal, then the antibodies wouldn't go after it, because they would only go after the antibodies only went after things that were in the body. Well, the metal wasn't part of my body, so it wouldn't go after. When there was metal, it wouldn't go after the infection there. So the right side of my ankle had those 3 big screws. Well, they had these sock things, that kind of pulsate. They kind of squeeze your skin to. It's supposed to help you prevent getting blood clots. Well, it got swollen and infected because it went down and decided to live in the titanium in my ankle, and one of those big screw heads popped a hole in my skin, and they went and they moved my foot, and it as my dad put it, it looked like brown. It looked like brown toothpaste coming out the side of my ankle when they squeezed it. So I had to have another surgery where they removed all the metal from my ankle, which went very well, but still, I don't have metal in my ankle anymore. And so the scars are back. The scars are going to be there even longer now because they had to cut along the scars to get in there and get that stuff out. But I mean, it went very well, according to them. I mean, I didn't feel any pain down there because of the fucking neuropathy, so what the fuck ever. I mean, I can feel, like, if you run your hand along my skin, I can feel the touch, I can feel the sensation. If you move my legs around, like when they're, to keep the mobility in my limbs, I can feel that. When I'm upright, I can reach down and touch my legs. I still have sensation. It feels like I'm touching a sleeping limb, but I still have sensation. So I just don't really feel pain in that ankle because the neuropathy, and from when that's how I walked on it for so fucking long with it broken and not noticed it. But so we went along, and it's like, okay, so it's living on the metal. I have staples in my back, so eventually I had to go under again, and they had to slice me open again, take all the staples out, and wash out the that epidural pocket a second time, and sew it up with actual stitches. And let's see, what else did they? Eventually, they took out the neckline, and they put a PICC line in my chest. So on the left side of my chest, there's basically a tape thing with two IV things hanging out. Which again, they went in, they put these 2 IV lines in, got the thing close to my heart to piss it off, and pulled it back a bit. Which I still find a funny description. That one I was awake for. Then again, I was technically awake for the neckline, but I was stoned out of my fucking gourd. That was funny when she removed the neckline, because she's just like, okay, and she just popped a couple stitches out and said, here we go, and just pulled it out. That's it, just pulled it out in one go, and it's like, okay, I gotta hold this here for 5 minutes. Alright, that's it. Then it's just like, keep this on for 24 hours, and then she left. So that was interesting. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to remove the PICC line, but considering what's going on, I'm probably going to need it for quite a while. So after a little over 2 weeks, they decided, oh, he's getting, the infection's dying out. The infection's dying out. We could move him to rehab. So they were going to move me to Mary Free Bed, which is one of the top rehab places in Michigan, and people come from across the country to go there. It's a very, very highly rated facility. I was like, cool. So the general surgeon team stops one last second. It's like, they're going to evaluate your wounds before you go. They didn't evaluate shit. They just shipped me out. So on 9/11, I arrived at Mary Free Bed, and then my the doctor in charge of my thing, Dr. Ho walks in. And he's like, "Oh no, you too wounded. Wounds too bad. Can't do rehab." And so I couldn't do rehab there because my wounds were I had a stage 3 and a stage 2 wound, and possibly another one forming because the dipshits at Bronson didn't do what they were supposed to, and prop me up and move me properly when I was lying in bed. So the second day I was at Mary Free Bed, though, while we were waiting to try to figure out what to do, because the problem was the only way I could, the only way I could have a bowel movement was to move me on my side, and then I'd, diarrhea, and that always gets into the wound and makes it worse, even with the barrier cream and the dressings, and it was just, it was a shit show. Pun, pardon the pun. So we tried to get everything, it's like, well, what about a colostomy? Get a colostomy bag. Then I'm not shitting myself anymore. And it's like, oh, okay. And they were worried about the blood infection. Well, my second day there, since my intestines had been basically, all the good bacteria had basically been wiped out of my intestines over the last 2 weeks, because I was on 24, at Bronson I was on 24/7, very, very strong antibiotic for the strep infection in my blood to clear that up. My intestines, I still don't have any good, really, any good bacteria in my stomach, as far as I know. So since there was nothing in my intestine really to keep anything in check, there's a little spore. I don't know the full name of it, but basically I got C. diff, a very contagious spore-like bacteria that really fucks up old people. It will really fuck up old people. So what that does is it basically gives you, you have diarrhea, and then this makes you have liquid diarrhea. It's like, it makes you have worse diarrhea. There are other symptoms. I didn't feel those other symptoms, but there's supposed to be other symptoms as well. But I got fucking C. diff. They tested me, and yeah. So I went into isolation, which is just basically everybody has to wear a fucking plastic gown and gloves and whatnot when they come in, and anything I touch becomes contaminated. Woo! So, yeah. So, I move to a new facility, I pick up another problem. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. I fart fucking contagious spores now. Well, they were worried about the C. diff, but eventually, then it's like, well, none of the doctors have privileges at Mary, none of the colostomy doctors have privileges at Mary Free Bed. It's like, we're going to have to find a way to get you to go see the colostomy doctor, and they're trying to figure out ways to do this. And then eventually, after 6 days, Dr. Ho's just like, we have a doctor who will do it. And so they cart me. So the day before, on the 5th day I was there, they give me these 2 ass blaster cocktails. That's what I call them. They're these like 16 ounce, maybe 20 ounce bottles. It looks like lemonade. But pretty much you drink this, and everything in your digestive tract will be coming out your ass very shortly. So it's like, all right, you might want to get the commode thing. So he's like, here, drink this. So they're getting the commode thing set up and getting the way they move people in Mary Free Bed is with these ceiling winches and these slings. Well, we found out that it would go through me very quickly. So there was a bit of a line of shit going from the bed over to the commode. So with the first one. So the second one, it's like, well, get the commode set up first and go get someone to help, get me in the sling and everything. And on their way back, it's like, all right, time to go. So I downed it. And that it took them too long to get help to get me in the sling. So this time I started shitting while I was in the sling. And then the very next day, all I could do was have a clear... Actually, the next day I couldn't even... I was on a clear liquid diet the day before. The next day I couldn't have anything at all. So I had nothing at all until late in the afternoon. I think it was 5:30 was when I was supposed to get the colostomy. So is sometime in the afternoon I had to take the third ass blaster cocktail, and I hadn't had the day before was nothing but the clear liquid diet, so it was basically gelatin and Italian ice and like broth, just the broths like chicken, beef, and vegetable or whatever. So this time it's just like, okay, just sit me in the commode first. Sit me in the commode. I drink the ass blaster cocktail, and then they give me an enema because they have to, and then I go in and I get the colostomy done. So I have a hole in my abdomen with basically they cut off a portion of my large intestine, turned it inside out, and cut a hole and it's sewed it on. So basically I have an ass in my I have an ass in my abdomen. So I don't have to worry about shitting myself. So I don't have to worry about, making the wounds any worse. Actually, there's a bit of gas in there. So, yeah, I got a catheter, got a colostomy. That's about the only way gas can escape, is when I sit upright. Better for me to burp, because otherwise it goes into the colostomy bag, and then I have to burp the colostomy bag, which doesn't make any noise, but it stinks. So pardon the belching. That's just gas. That's the preferable way for gas to escape. So anyway, continuing on. I was at St. Mary's, which is it's technically part of the same building. The buildings are combined, but yeah, St. Mary's, or is it St. Mercy? I think St. Mary. So I was there for a few days, and then they were going to send me over here to Select, where the advanced nursing, the LTAC, where I'm at now, where I've been for about a week, a little over a week. So they were going to send me over here, but then basically the day that they were planning on discharging me, plastic surgery came up, and they're like, because they were going to send me over here and have them debride the wounds to start healing, and the debriding is basically all the necrotized flesh. They just scrape it all away and leave only the healthy stuff behind so it can start healing. Well, plastic decided to chirp up and go, oh hell, we'll do it. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess if they're volunteer, I guess if they want to. I mean, I was told that I was just getting sent over there. all right. So plastic surgery, debrided the wounds, and I had to miss lunch and dinner that day. And we woke up and I got back to my room, and it was really interesting when I got my colostomy over there. So they were kind of full, and they didn't have anywhere to put me. So they ended up putting me in this, like, the best room on the floor. It was like this fucking suite. It's normally supposed to be reserved for long-term chemo patients, but they didn't have anywhere to put me, so they put me in this massive fucking, like, suite. Like, I had a button that could close the blinds. But yeah, I got put in there, and since I had C. diff, that means the entire room went into isolation, so it's not like they could just pop me in there and then pop me into a regular room. So I had a huge ass room. Problem with St. Mary's is the goddamn TV selection sucked, so there wasn't really anything to watch. Um, but yeah, plastic debrided it. I got back to the thing. They're like, "Well, what do you want to eat?" And just like, just save me a couple turkey, save me a couple sandwiches and a couple Diet Sierra Mists. So after I get out of recovery, I got this colostomy bag in and everything. I eat it. They're like the cold cut sandwiches. They're in the little, like, triangle box you peel off open, and they're what's there in case, like, somebody gets back from a procedure late and they miss a meal, or they miss a meal or something. So I have like two turkey and Swiss sandwiches and some Diet Sierra Mist, and they're still worried about, like, oh, his diet. He needs to be on a soft diet, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me? So we've been wrestling with trying to get a hold of the guys to get my diet sorted out, because right now it's like, on the bright side, even though a lot of things are locked off, I mean, the best I can hope for is a cheeseburger. I can still get but I can't get any. I'm also on low fiber, so I can't get anything besides mustard and ketchup and mayo. So it's kind of like, grr. And they can't be on actual, like, cheese, burger buns. It either has to be on a Kaiser roll or a pretzel bun, which is like, what? It's weird. But yeah, they had me. They did that. They did the debridement, cause yeah, that wound on my ass. They showed me a picture of it. It was just this big patch on my tailbone. It was like this spiky black, you know, necrotized. It looked like a bunch of spikes almost. It's all spiky and black and necrotized, and it's just like, yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Thanks, Bronson. So they got that all cleared off. My wound nurse here says it's healing, but it's gonna take a couple months. So I get that. I got this wound vac thing on my ass. It's attached to this alarm clock looking piece of shit. So basically, I got this styrofoam thing on my ass with a hose that goes to the thing that looks like an alarm clock that basically is drawing away, the seepage, I guess you could call it, the drainage, drawing it away through this little, and every time it gets a little bit in there, it makes a fart sound. And you can tell when the hose gets disconnected because it makes it really angry, just constant while it's trying to suck. It just makes this really angry noise. It's like, angry alarm clock, my hose got disconnected. But yeah, usually just sits here. I basically have a farting vampiric alarm clock, essentially. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I hear you, farting your ass off, piece of shit. Yeah, whatever. Fuck you. If it isn't you making fart noises, it's a colostomy bag, which has been relatively silent this whole time, which I'm fucking surprised. Because they used it's really interesting. They want me to sit up every now and then because it's like they got these chairs they want me to sit up because it's supposed to help supposed to help, sitting up supposed to help my lungs out and, all this other stuff. So with my wound, I could only sit up for an hour. Yeah. So my wound, I could only sit up for about an hour. So I normally I would be playing a game right now, but I figure I need to make this. So yeah, I'm surprised my colostomy bag's been silent. I figured that thing would be farting its ass off because I'm sitting upright. Probably after I go back down, after I lay back down. But yeah, to get me in this chair, they it's a fucking hover pad. It's just this it's a sheet with a bunch of like cells in it, and then they bring in a motor thing they plug into the wall, and it's just, yeah, you basically get picked up, kind of like, almost like a, it kind of picks you up so like two people could just slide you around easy. It's pretty funny. It's kind of like, I was like, well, the first time they turned it on, I was like, there were basically four black girls is hanging around. We were all just joking, talking bullshit, and all that stuff. Having fun. And then they turned that, and I was like, motherfucker, what the shit? Because it spooked me. I didn't expect these like as like a hover pad. I'm like, okay, it must shoot down and make it like it must inflate the pad and make it like kind of like moving like maybe an airsoft thing or something. But no, these these pillow cell things like shoot up the side of each side of my head. I'm like, what the fuck? It spooked the shit out of me, but it's like, whatever, it fucking works. Yeah. But yeah, as it stands right now, I'm in my 5th facility, unless you want to count Sturgis, and then 6th facility. But yeah, I think the C. diff is almost cured if it isn't, but because I have it and because it's so contagious, I'm permanently in isolation anytime I'm at this facility for forever. I will permanently, because apparently the people on this floor, I'm the most unique case they may have had, but a lot of these people, like, a good portion of them aren't even conscious. And those that aren't even fully conscious. There's very few. I'm probably the most aware patient on this entire floor. Which probably pisses off some, because the way a few of the assistant nurses have been acting is I'm aware, so I'm asking for things, and I don't think some of them like that. I think they like the fucked up ones that can't do a whole lot because it makes their job easier. Whereas me, yeah. I had one nurse. It's funny. She's like, "Oh shit!" And I was like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "I'm gonna have to go get your medication again. I'll be right back." I was like, "What happened?" It's like, "Well, I crushed all your pills up." I was like, "Okay." And it's like, "You don't have the method to take them like that." It's like most of the people on this floor, you have to crush their pills up and take them, and they have to take them through a tube. I'm like, oh, and it's like, yeah, it's like it's forced a habit. I forgot about that, and like, doesn't bother me none. But yeah, there's been some good nurses. There's been some bad nurses. Like yesterday, the aide yesterday didn't even come into my room once. She came. Well, okay, she came in once, but that's when I was working with occupational therapy. She needed someone to help get me centered on the bed again because occupational therapy won't let me help pull myself around. I can pull myself to roll and to do the exercises they want me to do, but to actually pull myself around in bed and get situated, they're like, no, we don't want to make your spine angry and make it more painful. So she had to get because I could have just grabbed onto the top of the bed and help move myself, But no, she went and grabbed a random person walking by, a random nurse walking by, and that happened to be my aide. She's like, no, no, no. I came in here, but you were asleep every time. Like, uh-huh. And then the nurse that night was like, I reported her to management, so if they come in, they might come in and talk to you. I'm like, oh, great, thanks. And it's like, because I know the night before that she was in here and one of her other little nurse friends came in and they were having girl talk, and I'm just sitting here like just looking at both of them. And it's like, man, that bitch yelled my name from down the hall. It's like, how dare she? She's the one that fucking takes an hour to come. You ask her for help, and she takes an hour to come help you. Man. It's just like, oh, Jesus Christ. I just keep my mouth shut. It's like, no, it's like, can you hand me that pillow? Thank you, bye. It's like, whatever. Just remain oblivious. Oblivious to the fact they were doing that. But, so yeah. I probably ain't gonna be able to really post any content for who knows how the fuck long. So, I'm in here healing for at least, I'm gonna be healing for at least 2 months. Don't know if it's all gonna be at this facility. Depends on what the insurance does. If they get some kind of rehab, like minor rehab program going for me and I'm making good progress, they might let me stay longer. I might have to move somewhere else to finish out the healing. I don't know. It's just basically what the fuck ever from here on out. So, yeah. That's about how it goes right now. So, that's the story of what the fuck's been going on. It fucking sucks. I am depressed as hell. Because, I mean, I can play some games. I can kind of, if I get angled right, I can kind of wiggle myself up into a corner and set up in the bed and bring the laptop over, get my glasses on, and I can fly. I played Blasphemous for about 5 hours. That game is fucking hard. Thanks for that, by the way. Patron sent that over. And then they sent Ni no Kune, and it's like, god damn, dude. But it looks like the backlog is going to ever continue. I mean, technically, I still have... Why did I open that? Technically, I still have quite a bit of stuff to upload, but, yeah. Yeah, it just depends on... I'm curious, and because this right now is at 64 megabytes, I'm curious how long this is going to take for this to upload on the hospital's Wi-Fi. So anyway, if anything significant happens, or maybe I'll do a monthly or whatever when I feel like it's been long enough and enough shit's changed. Maybe I'll do another update, but yeah, that's what's been happening. I got fucked up. I got fucked up by a very rare instance of just fuckery. Get a fucking stroke in your spine. There's a chance, because I got feeling in my legs. There's a chance I might, depending on the facility I go to, because Mary Free Beds they've had people come in that couldn't move their arms, couldn't move their legs, and they were able to move their arms and legs by the time they left. So, there's a chance I could learn to walk again. It might take a long time. I know that in a few months, when I'm strong enough, the surgeon wants to see me again to do the spinal fusion. So that's definitely going to actually set me back. But if in the event that I am actually, in the event that I'm actually, permanently paralyzed, that I am a paraplegic permanently, um, it'll make it more comfortable to sit in a wheelchair if my back's aligned instead of all scribble fucked like it is. So, yeah, shit be fucked, yo. It always seems like I wind up at the hospital when I'm on the verge of death too, because I think they said in about 2 more days, if I hadn't gotten into the hospital, my ass would have been dead. It's kind of like when I found out when I found out I was diabetic. It's like, yeah, in a few more hours he would have been dead, because it's like I was having problems, which was associated with high blood sugar, really high blood sugar, and we went to the doctor, and the doctor said, no, no, it's the flu. Give him, like apple juice and whatnot. That'll make him feel big. Give him juice. It's the flu. So I was drinking apple juice and stuff. My blood sugar was astronomically fucking high. I was hallucinating and shit when they took me in. And I was shaking. They said my ass would have been dead in a few hours. That was back when I was 15. It's just like, well, that's one way to find out you're diabetic. Have a conversation with someone named Archie that wasn't there. And then just vomit apple juice everywhere and get taken into the hospital and told you're on the verge of death. Oh well. Shit happens, I guess. I mean, I already got my I know Jen and my stepmom and dad are already like they're either trying to find an assisted living place or ADA apartment for me to go to after everything's done. And it seems like we found an ADA apartment, and the lady there's been real helpful. I think she's actually gonna hold the apartment until we figure out what's going on. So, because unfortunately I can't go home. There's no way I can there's no way to attend for my needs, so I don't have a home to go back to when this is done. Yay. Anyway, that's the only thing I have to say is probably the biggest bitch is that I can't go back home after this is over with, because it would cost too much to remodel the house. And I mean, we got the ramp, I can go visit, but yeah, there's no way we could actually. There's no way if I'm confined to a wheelchair, there's no way, because Dad was looking into how much it would cost to like remodel the bathroom and stuff. It's yeah. So of all the things, not being able to go back home is probably the thing that bites me in the ass the most. Not walking is pretty high up there, but it's more like I don't get to be close to my family is the thing that really gets to me. But anyway, enough bitching and moaning. So that's what's going on. I'll catch you guys later. Adios.